I'm going to show you how to get 100 social media marketing agency clients really fast. Okay, that's exactly what I did. Grew my agency from zero to $200,000 a month. I had hundreds of clients in the roofing niche, and if you follow exactly what I'm going to share with you, I promise that your ads will never fatigue. You won't have to continue to launch, relaunch a bunch of ads, get a bunch of unqualified prospects, and ultimately, if you do what I am going to share with you right now, you're going to be able to grow your agency and live a life where you actually have freedom. Okay, that's what I've been able to do, traveling around the world for the last 5 years with my wife and my kids, and I'm going to show you exactly how. So just so you know that I'm legit, you can check me out on Instagram, check out our school community. All the links are in the description. Let's dive in. All right, so what's the problem really? I'm gonna start over here. The problem is that, usually ads are launched, things are going well, and then all of a sudden you see this drop off. I remember when I was running my agency, I'd have to constantly refresh my creatives because I was constantly seeing this fatigue. All right, I was going out there and I was getting in front of the camera and I was basically just saying the same thing over and over again. Like, hey, are you sick and tired of XYZ? Well, I can get you this new result, and go ahead and click my link below. And I didn't realize that ultimately what was happening is that I looked the same as everyone else. Okay, every other marketing agency out there was ultimately promising some variation of the exact same thing. They were making the same promises, and even their way in which they did it, it sounded kind of the same, right? It's always like this youngish looking person in front of the camera, talking head, a bunch of B-roll happening in the background, and it just wasn't really enough to sustain conversions, right? I would have to constantly refresh these creatives and it was getting tiring. And so what I really wanted was something that was a bit more evergreen. And the way that I realized that what my stuff that I was putting out wasn't evergreen, the way it wasn't working, the reason it wasn't working is because really my offer as well was quite surface level. It wasn't tapping into something that was deeply rooted, that was solving a deep problem that my prospect had. And a lot of that ultimately came down to me not understanding my avatar, me not taking the time to listen to the sales calls that I was having and see what are the little words, what are the things that they're saying that they really, really care about, what they really want. And so here's how to overcome, ads that fatigue or ads that stop working all of a sudden. And what it really comes down to is that we want to come across as completely different, right? And so a lot of people talk about pattern interrupts, and a pattern interrupt isn't really just as simple as, waving something weird in front of the camera and saying, oh, look at me in my ad. I've seen a lot of people doing ads while they're in like a freaking cold plunge. I've seen people do ads where they're in some nice background or something. But when I talk about something that's unique and jarring, I generally want to show up in my advertisement in an environment that my prospect sees as familiar. So I'm gonna just take a pause over here and try to find some ads for you. So if you take a look at this guy over here, Aspire Dental Marketing, right? He's in an actual clinic.
Hey dentist, it's a new year, so let me ask you this. Are you ready?
Right, so there's a pattern interrupt over there, but he's also standing in a dental clinic, right? In a similar fashion over here, you look at with Contractor Independence's marketing over here, they've got a spokesperson that's actually in front of a truck. Yeah, they're marketing to roofing contractors. This guy looks like a contractor. So what's the point that I'm trying to make? It's very, very important to make sure that your setup is not just a regular talking head. All right, and really ultimately beyond that, we want to make the prospect feel really understood, right? I'll give you an example over here. Most people will just say, hey, are you sick and tired of shared leads, or are you sick and tired of paying for bad marketing companies, right? That's a very surface level problem. But we instead say, hey, are you sick and tired? Or I don't even like using the word sick and tired. I like saying things more along the lines of, have you ever bought a lead, called it, they didn't pick up? If they did, you got to the home and you realized there were 5 other contractors that had already been there before you, and the homeowner wants to buy a roof, they want the cheapest thing. You're going a lot deeper. And not just going deep into the problem, we want to actually talk about the mechanism behind the problem. Okay, that's the reason why. So why is that a problem? Well, as a business owner, you think that you should just be able to buy a lead, call it, and convert it, but what you don't realize is that not all leads are equal, because when you're buying a lead off the internet, it's being sold to a bunch of your competition. They're not even necessarily serious, they're not qualified, they're not vetted, and so that's why when you call them, they don't often pick up the phone. You have to chase them, and if they are ready for a roof, they're looking for the cheapest cost because the website they filled out was a website that's giving out cheap quotes. So you're explaining why they have a problem, right? You see, like, this is so powerful that when we're running advertisements, we don't just want to go ahead and say that, oh, do you have this problem? I've got the solution. Buy. No, we got to go deeper. We got to say, hey, look, you have a problem to this extent. Here's why you have the problem. And then we get into what the actual solution is. And the solution is going to be for you to install a job-getting system in your business. I'm just using roofing as an example because I know that niche very well. But we're going to install a job-getting system, or we're going to get a patient-getting system into your business. And how it's going to be different is that it's not just going to go out and generate an exclusive lead. It's going to go a step further. It's going to call the lead. It's going to qualify the lead. It's going to make sure they're qualified for the actual service that they needed. And not only that, we're going to actually make them pay a deposit. So they're already going to transact with you before you even get to the home or they get to you. You see what I'm saying? Like, you want to explain how this solution is truly going to get them to the promised land, right? And the way that you came up with it, this is very important, because then we can inject some of our own story, our own testimonials, and how this is getting great results. We can say things like, hey, and how we came up with this was by having all these clients, and we realized this is the common thread, this is the common problem, and what we actually ended up doing was piloting this system with just a few of our clients, and then we had a breakthrough, and then this thing happened, and this thing happened, and now this guy's getting these results, and this gal is getting these results, and this is crazy, and it's come a long way, and we've got all this proof, right? So really, if you're watching this right now, I'd really encourage you to look at your advertisements and ask yourself, is my ad truly fatiguing, and is it stopping to work because I have all these things in place? And if you don't, start mapping these things out for you. And a lot of this is going to come from having a very intimate understanding of who your prospect is and what they truly want. So if this was helpful, go ahead and join the school community. You can check out my Instagram. You can book a one-on-one session with me. I'm more than happy to help over here. We have a weekly call, a community call every single week at this time over here. And I would love to be able to go over your ads and give you some feedback and really help you and give you value up front. Transparently speaking, I do work with some select students one-on-one on a revenue share basis, so that if you win, I win, because I'm sick and tired of all these gurus out there that promise the world, don't deliver results. I want to get paid after my system is installed in your business and it starts producing results. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and join this school community. The description is going to be somewhere in this video, and I'll see you on the other side. Hope this was helpful. Much love.